Hello and welcome to Marginal Support, where support is anything but marginal. I'm Andre Lindy, and today I have a guest that I met many years ago in San Francisco at a Zendesk event. I actually still use the tumbler I got from that event. Fernando, it's a pleasure to see you again. Can you please introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, Fernando Duarte. It's great to see you, Andre. Yeah, I've been a support leader for many years. The last 15 years, I've been building support teams from scratch on startups. I've done A startups for the last 15 years, having a lot of fun on that from scratch all the way to these companies becoming public.
You must have seen a lot from what the heck are we doing here to, oh, we need to create process to this is the process.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I see every single stage has its challenges, has its fun parts. Yeah.
Very cool. Before we kick off anything, I have to compliment you with your background. I mean, having R2D2, it looks like an advanced tie right there,
Yeah.
and an NES. Very cool. This is a great background.
Thank you. I'm a builder. I love things. I actually relate this to how I work with careers. It's about grabbing all this mess of pieces and organizing them and building something together out of all of that. So put the structures together, bake something beautiful out of little pieces that by themselves don't make a whole.
That makes a lot of sense since I see a lot of Legos back there. So very cool. Um, before we get into the meat and bones we're going to talk about today, there is something I want to talk about briefly, and that is one of the reasons I reached out to you is because I saw a photo of you at a support meetup that's organized by Kinji Hayward. Um, can you just speak to a little to what these kind of meetups mean for people in our industry?
Yeah. I think they're important. Very important. People that get in an industry and support are people who care. We are always trying to solve people's problems. We are first ones to go. We're in a group. Somebody goes, "Well, I have this issue." I'm like, we're immediately thinking of solutions, right? We're trying to get there. So we're emotionally involved and on everybody's problems, but that doesn't mean that we're taking care of ourselves. So we spend ourselves trying to help others, and not everybody understands that point of view. We we're a special breed. We are suckers for punishment. You know, give me something complicated. Give me something that is all broken, and I'm happy, right, on getting on all of these things. Uh, and finding peers that understand that thinking, understand that part is important. Having that support system of people that speak the language and think in the same way is phenomenal. I really appreciate what Kenji does, bringing people. We don't talk about our companies. We don't talk about this. Is we're just meeting each other and building that community part.
So I remember when Kinji was first setting this up, I went to his first couple meetings, and he said, "You look at these big meetups, CSMs have them, hundreds of CSMs come to them, but support never does these things." And I think that's one of the real reasons he did it. One of the other things that I think is very unique about these is that when we go to these meetups, it's giving us a chance to emotionally release because people in support can feel burnout because we don't feel like we have anyone to talk to. So then when we have our own people and we can make jokes and we can just let go, it's I'm blanking on the word. It's
Cathartic.
catharsis.
Yeah,
It helps us cleanse our body of all this negative energy.
it does. It does. People will understand what you're going through at that particular point when you offloading them. Oh, somebody else went through the same thing. Yeah.
So let's get into what we were originally going to talk about, and that is, I think it's a big issue. Honestly, I don't see it a lot in support teams, which is kind of interesting. But employee retention, what are the good ways and the bad ways to approach this topic? Because there are definitely things that can happen that can affect both sides of it.
Sure. So there's I'm if there's something I'm very proud is the last 15 years, I had no one resign from my teams, and I when I bring somebody to my team, I don't I don't believe that they're going to be working for me. I believe I'm hiring my boss. I am committed to the success of this person. So there's a few stages to make this successful. First of all, they gotta be fit the culture of the team, right? It's not my decision. It's not my decision alone. It's the team's decision on whether they're gonna work with the team. So I'll bring a peer, a manager, right? A couple of people. There's 4 people usually that are gonna make the decision. I don't need a committee of 7, 8 people to make this decision on that. On that hiring decision, I train my staff how to hire. On and I equate it to the NFL draft. I'm not necessarily a big NFL fan. I just like the draft as an example for hiring. When you look at the GOAT, he was hired as the last person on the draft, right? So that means everybody passed on him. Now, the scouts have at least 6 years of tapes. They follow everything they did in high school, everything they did in college. They did interviews, then they did the combine. They watched them to do all this, and then they made the decision, and they got it wrong. When you come to interview somebody, you have 30, 45 minutes on 2 pieces of paper. What are the odds that you're going to get it right on that they're the right people? So ultimately, it comes down to 2 questions that you need to come out answering from there. Can I work with them? Can I trust them? If either one of those 2 is a no, regardless who on the group says no to one of those, it's a no hire. Even if this is the best person, somebody says no, gone. Eliminated from the position. I want somebody who's curious. I want somebody who wants to learn. I personally, when I'm hiring, I'll interview somebody. I'll ask him a question, and I'll keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Not to see if they know something, but I want to get them to a point where they don't know something. I want to hear these key words, I don't know. If I don't hear I don't know, that means I can't trust them. I want to know that they know their limits. They're able to have that humility, understand that part, and they're going to tell me, hey, I don't know. I will look this up. Instead of giving me a BS answer. Because that's that trust part. Once they tell me I don't know, I'm like, ooh, I like this person.
I remember when I was doing interviews a while ago, and actually one of the reasons why I moved a person on was because they got almost everything right, but then when there was an answer or a question they didn't even know anything about, straight up said, I'm not going to BS with you. I just don't know this. I'll definitely try to learn it. But right there, that just opened my eyes. I'm like, interesting right here. For support roles, culture is a huge fit versus, other roles where, let's say an engineer, can they code in a certain language? Can they do this? That's a core part of their job. What are your thoughts on that? The culture fit for a person in support is much more important than the skills they might have on their piece of paper.
I agree. I can teach you any skills. Culture is different. One of the things I like to do is when I bring people on board, I usually bring pairs. I don't like to start a single person if possible. I like to start at least 2 people so they have someone that's going through the same journey as they are. That also increases my retention. They're not going to leave their buddy that just started alone because I'm not going to abandon them, right? There's also we're all very competitive. Hey, I got the better numbers. I'm doing this thing, right? We're all competitive. We all want to be the first ones at something. You have somebody that's helping you, is going through the same journey, and is going to do that part. I did an experiment. I hired somebody very, very technical that had low EQ skills, and I hired somebody was very high EQ, low technical. Eventually, the person that had the lower technical skills surpass and thrive. They were able to learn the skills that they needed, whereas teaching somebody else the empathy, the other culture parts, it was much much harder. And then I've seen that through my career. So I tend to find people that would meld with the team, but there's still one of my favorite words is no. I want people that are going to bring something different.
When people, yeah, when someone joins a new company and they look at something and they ask, why are you doing it this way? For me, that's always been, I like where your brain's going, but you need to expand on that. Don't just ask why we're doing it this way. You need to tell me how could we be doing it. That's the kind of curiosity that I always look for when I was hiring. Is like, okay, yeah, maybe we don't need to do it this way, but you better come with an answer. How do you train people to kind of have that mindset where it's question everything, but then also possibly come with the solution if you're going to question it?
I like that. It's actually from the day one. I'm like, great. Very first day, I'm going to give it to my team to get trained if I'm not the one doing the training. And I'm like, we have an onboarding package that we put together. You're going to go through this training and it's established. We have this hour, we're doing this these days, you have all these goals. I personally have one goal for you. You start today, Friday, you and I are going to have a meeting. I have one goal. You're going to take notes as we're going through this thing, and you're going to tell me everything that's wrong on my onboarding program. Please, I want you to tell me that my baby, the onboarding program, is ugly. Tell me everything that's wrong about it. Right? And it's a goal that they give them. I'm like, the more you find, the happier I'm going to be. They're like, what? Yeah, because I failed you if I didn't give you the right thing, right? And guess what? Now you're helping the next person that's coming along. And it's an iterative process. And people are happy that now they have a piece of them onto that lives for the next person. So you start teaching from the beginning. It's okay to raise your voice. It's okay to say, "Oh, why are they teaching me this? This doesn't make sense." Question everything. Great point.
That's actually what I'm teaching my small son right now, and it's good, but it's also very difficult because I'm like, just stop questioning right now, please. But it's a skill that I think everyone should acquire. I want to go back to something that you said when we first started talking, is that you hire for your replacement. I want you to speak a little more about that and why I think some leaders are afraid to hire like that.
Insecurity. Let's start with that part. If I like to tell every single one of my team members, if you're irreplaceable, you're unpromotable. Simple. If you cannot be replaced, nobody can do your job. Why would I move you somewhere else? You're the only one who can do that. You want to have people be able to take over your job. If you can't, then what's the point? Right? How can I move you somewhere else? You want to get better, right? Teach everybody what you're doing. Things that I also do when I take over a team. On my one-on-ones, I ask them, okay, out of everything that you do every single day, what do you like the most? Give me the top 3 things that you like the most, and tell me the 3 things that you would like not to do anymore. Well, these are the things I like them. Great. We want to make sure that we give you more of those things. What are the things that you don't like? These things. Okay. So in order to get rid of those things that you don't like to do, let's document it and teach somebody else to do it. So it's just about train and do that.
So when I look at employee retention, one thing that I've always been proud of is that when someone leaves my team internally,
Hmm.
if they're leaving my team internally, that doesn't mean I was a failure. I honestly feel like I was a success because I helped them get where they wanted to go. What are your thoughts for managers or people that say support may be your first stop, but it's not your last stop?
I, I I think support people make incredible product managers. They People that come through support get a customer first mentality. And if this is not what you want to do, look, I'm never going to leave support. I love this. This is where my heart is at. I've tried all other areas on the company, and no, I love with the being with the customer. I love understanding this side. Is my life, but it's not everybody's, right? As AI is coming in, I don't think support is any longer an entry point to go somewhere else. But support may open your eyes to other parts of the company. Hey, I like I support you understand where the pain points are on the customer. You can say, "Oh my God, implementation is failing on this point. Maybe I can do implementation better." You become an implementation manager, right? Or we're deploying this wrong here, become a project manager, helping some of the other parts. Or I had people going into the engineering team. Hey, I found these bugs. These are things that I've done. I'm working on the code. I had people promoted to product managers, or they become CSMs. They go into account manager. Hey, I want to go deeper on the relationship side. So it's a discovery of other parts and evolving. You don't also have to go into management to become successful within support. There are multiple routes within this that is going to work.
To that point, what I've seen is when you're talking about when people say, "Hey, what do you like during their one-on-ones?" I had one person come to me and say, "I just love the really technical problems. I love it when I have to get down dirty and I have to think of really creative solutions." And that person went on to be a solutions architect because that was more of what they wanted. They wanted to, fix those weird edge cases, or they wanted to connect the platformer man with all these other platforms, and there was nothing there to do it. And when people move from a support role to these other roles, they bring that sport mindset with them, the way that they just creatively think through problems. So, honestly, I wish more people would and wouldn't leave support. I mean, because you and I, it's almost like a drug in our veins. It's I love
Yep.
support. It gets me going. But for some people, if it just gets your foot in the door, great. That more power to you.
Yeah, it's a mindset. You have to do that. At a couple of companies that I work for, we would have support rotation. People from other departments would come and work in support just to understand what we did. And then they go, "Oh, so customers, we don't know better what the customer wants. You guys are actually seeing things that know what we thought the customer wanted." I'm like, here it is.
Yeah, I've heard stories from other companies where people from accounting or people from product start doing tickets. They're like, "Wait a minute, wait, this isn't what people want," or "Why aren't they using it the way I created?" I'm like, well, customers are fickle. They will use the product the way they see the product. So yeah, I think rotations are an excellent idea. It really makes people even have a little bit of empathy for us and how difficult our job can actually be. But let's change steps. Let's change roads again right now. And you brought up the key word that everyone's talking about these days, AI. And I'm very curious. We're going to start this broad, and we're going to narrow it in. But what are your thoughts right now on how support is embracing AI? That's a very broad topic, but let's start broad.
Sure. Uh, Support was the perfect place for AI to experiment and grow out of all the industries. Why? Because we have a lot of repetitive things. Reset my password, do things. So we had a lot of transactional interactions. So it was a great place to put in. It's like, okay, we can just automate support and get rid of the support agents, and this is going to be easy. That's not the case. I am 100% certain that support is actually going to grow instead of diminish. Things that I'm seeing is there's a few things that I'm observing. One, the job is getting more complex. Why? Because anything that was easy is gone. That is going to be taken by AI. So reset my password. We don't get reset my password because the AI took care of that, right? Um, the the load on our agents, it is much heavier. There is no easy cases to take a mental break in between. So the burnout it is harder on them. Is it's not that we have lower productivity because your AHT is getting longer as the things that you're getting are more complicated. They're more edge cases. They require more hand holding. This is where your agents have to be upskill. We're also doing a lot of orchestrating on what AI does plus other departments. We're also collecting and have more insights into data. We're getting more and more data, and we're becoming data orchestrators for the rest of the company. They're finally seeing the value that we have on every single interaction.
One thing that I thought about when I started to look into Claude and all these other programs, and I went through actually Anthropic's AI Fluency course, which I recommend anyone go through because it's fantastic, and it taught you how to structure a prompt, and then that got my thinking. Support people have actually been writing prompts before prompts were kind of a thing. What are your thoughts on that? On that, support people actually are very good people when it comes to writing prompts now for these Gen AI platforms.
Uh, I'm with you. Our we were already language translators. Let's call it that. We needed to change prose narrative from storytelling from customers into prompt bullet point action outcome for our engineering and product teams. Right? We needed to consolidate all this, add context, outcome based action bullet points. That was our prompts to our engineering team. This is the outcome that we need based on all this data that we collected. And then convert actions that came down into things for the customer. So all that manipulation of user language is there. The AI came to help us gather some information and polish maybe some of our language, establish things. But yeah, I agree. We were poised to do what we needed to do.
So now that we're talking about the way AI has been able to gather data, one thing that I always wanted to do but was never able to create a good narrative out of it, and now we can, is take all these stories we see in our tickets. We can take all these trends. How many people are using the product in a certain way? How many times have we seen a bug? How are you seeing AI be able to shape the stories you're starting to tell to other departments?
Analytics is still evolving. I don't think we have gotten there because they are biased to who's reading the data. I'll give you a good example. People want to see CSAT because it's the one they understand. CSAT, I absolutely dislike. I've disliked it for years. I think it was a very small sample, of a subset of edge cases that were able to give you a response and tell you this, right? Granted, nowadays you can actually read intent and sentiment and do a CSAT analysis of every single one of your tickets and get a better idea what that sentiment is. And perhaps get into 100% sampling. But I don't think it's the right. I still don't believe that's the right thing. does a pass mentality or number of tickets solved or AHT. This measures productivity or like a factory, and that's not what we should be doing. Now with AI, we can focus on outcomes. What is the reopen rate of tickets? How many tickets that we sold that came back and reopened? How many of these are repeated tickets? What are tickets that we're closing? So we have better insights to actually drive the direction of the product and prevent tickets to being open to begin with. It's just a matter of we getting the insights on a weight frame that can tell the story and change the mentality of, oh, my company has this 98% CSAT. Means nothing. Yeah, people are happy after the fact, but that doesn't tell me out of those how many have to come back 2 days later. Oh yeah, I was happy because the agent was nice to me, but I had to contact another one sometime later. It's not the right metrics. It's let's look at the right things to measure and how do we tell a story that's actually gonna drive the company to success.
One narrative I just thought of, and I think AI is really good at this also, is that we can also see which people or which companies are maybe asking the more rudimentary questions over and over, and then it can start to show us where there's knowledge gaps. Maybe these people need training, or these people are asking very technical, very deep questions, so we need to handle when we answer their questions, we need to handle them differently. How is your adoption of AI changed the way that you look at the way you interact with customers versus via the tickets they're submitting?
Routing, that's where AI is key. Um, is how do I get the ticket to the right person equipped to give the right answer the fastest way? So the moment somebody contacts, if I can identify them, I can look at the history. What type of questions have they asked me before? Is this related to those? Is this a repeated question? Is this a training issue? Is this what type of questions are they? Who has answered this question before? And then route this. Is this like you said? Is this technical? Is this a training issue? Is this an emotional issue? Is this an account at risk? Do I need to get it escalated automatically, bypass any of my safeguards? Get all the way to a CSM, for example, because this required that immediately attention. So routing becomes key, and AI adds a lot of value on that.
So as we talked about, the more transactional roles are disappearing, those more transactional activities are going away. What do you envision as being new roles that will open up in support? Because as one door closes, another door opens. And now we need to start to think about these new roles that people in support will have. What are some of the roles that you've either seen or started to think about?
Sure. It is people who are recognizing patterns and training the engine. That is a huge thing to look at. I am seeing these things. Yes, you can have AI recognize certain things or gaps. But if you see a couple of things that are coming in, it's like, hold on, I've seen this question 2-3 times. What is the workflow that I need to do that? So you're looking at workflow architects, right? Knowledge architects. Knowledge is incredible. Knowledge bases are going to be even more important now than they were before. One of the things that I'm looking at now is your knowledge base used to be targeted for people to look at, and you wanted to make sure that your robots.txt had everything indexed so people could Google your answer. But you no longer are Googling your answer, you're actually asking Google's LLM for an answer, right? When you type on Google, it actually gives you an LLM answer. It's no longer just a search for websites. It gives you an answer of what is potentially it is. So now your documentation needs to be set up in a way that LLMs can crawl and get the right answer. Now instead of SEO, it's called AEO, and you need to change your documentation to be read there. As of this past month, now more than half of the people of who's reading your documentation are agents more than humans. It passed the 51% thing. So I'm really keeping up on all this. I spend a lot of my time keeping up on what's going on in the industry, and documentation is becoming a key player on this matter. You have to have it on a way that the AI agents can find it, because the last thing anybody wants to do is contact support. First thing you do, you have your app open and you go open a new tab and go, okay, Google or whatever it is, whoever, just give me an answer. If you don't find it, then you might go look into the website and do this thing. But you have to have your knowledge base needs to update it. The second problem in here is with AI, people are shipping faster and faster every day. So now your engineering teams are shipping 10 times as more code. That means every week you have new features. Everything has changed. Well, who's keeping up with that? Typically, you've been in support for a while, or we both have been in support for a while, and there's nothing better than a customer goes, hey, this is not working, and you go, when did this go out? Right? And you get surprised. I used to call it, we customer source our QA, right? You get this like, oh, well, now my screenshots don't match, the description of things are broken, and my documentation, as good as I am, are going to be 2-3 weeks behind, even if I have to do this. So these are roles that are going to be pivotal on keeping that relationship with product, with engineering, pulling data, looking at what changes are happening, what are the fixes, and keeping up documentation both for human readable, and agent readable. And then train your staff. Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever heard AEO, but it makes complete sense now in terms of how we have to organize everything. One concern, or not concern, one area that I see for mass improvement is the way we're going to manage our knowledge bases as well. I mean, because in the past you would have 3 articles from 3 different releases with 3 different screenshots, and if a client somehow goes to one that's from 5 years ago, that's going to give them a different answer than the one that probably should have been released just now. How do you see AI being able to help us basically bring a little order to this chaos of just so many different versions of docs out there?
There's standards being developed right now. There's just like you have how to index your web pages at that robots.txt. There's a new standard is being finalized called LLMS.txt and LLMS-full.txt that has MD style files that are readable by AI. A lot of the companies out there that do ticketing systems need to start adopting this. They currently don't. So you need to convert all your HTML beautiful files in something that's much easier. So MCPs can grab this information faster. The better you make this for agents, the higher ranking, the easier for your agents, the faster resolution. It's just that cycle. And then there are some great companies now that as you push pull requests on engineering pushes code, it automatically updates your documentation, which then grabs your into your index, and it is a cycle, but it all has to be thought of as a whole unit and not piecemeal and wait until it happens and be reactive. Support is moving more proactive, and we now have the chance to do this. And I love it. It's an exciting time that we're at, and I'm all for it.
So, 2 last questions for you. If someone wants to break into support now, what would you say to them? And then two, if someone wants to actually start teaching themselves AI, since it's so broad, how would you say they break into it?
Okay. Support is, let me start with the other way. I start with learning AI. I say by the end of the year, every single company is going to want you to have AI skills, no matter what. Uh, and AI skills doesn't mean, oh, I can go to ChatGPT and ask him to write me something. That's not AI skills. You need to start building. You need to start writing things. Do some code. Write me a web page. It's very, very, very simple to do on Claude. I'm not saying go and use Claude Code and CLI or command line interface, right? But you can do code on Claude. You can do code on ChatGPT or any of your LLM that you pick. They're really good free courses, both by Anthropic and Google, that you can get certifications for free. Get the certificates, add them to your LinkedIn, change any certification. You go, hey, Anthropic certified. Put it on your title on LinkedIn. People will get you. You go, ooh, they took the curiosity. They're currently learning. Even better. Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to do support, and I'm interested in these companies. What course should I use from your library, Anthropic? And they'll give you the course, and they'll keep. I say, or ask me questions to understand what my knowledge of LLM is, and design a course for me to do that will lead to a certification, and it will design a course for you. Right? I only have 20 minutes a day. Give me the important points so I can pass the certification. It will do that for you. So make them work for you and create that course. Give yourself 20 minutes a day. Anything, just do that. Then start writing applications, writing codes, anything that will make you play with it. Build your Legos. It's the only thing. One little piece at a time. You'll have your components, and next thing you know, you're building.
That's great. Well, we are running up on our time here, and so we actually touched on this topic slightly, but this is a question I end every episode with, and we inadvertently got to it a little bit, but I'm going to give it to you right now. So, the way I end each episode is I say, support isn't just a job, support is a mindset. What does that mean to you?
I love it. First of all, I love that phrase. It is a mindset. Support is that means to me, I'm willing to put somebody else's needs in front of mine for that particular moment. I will do whatever I can to help you succeed on the problem that you have. Is going that extra mile. Is picking up the phone. It's not you're not a ticket. You're a human in need. By the time, a few things that I like to say is every ticket is an opportunity for engagement. It's not something to close. It's not a task for me to get rid of. By the time a customer reaches to you, they already Googled it. They already went to the documentation. They already asked peers. They go, okay, fine. I'll contact support. What option do I have? So by the time they get to you, they're already frustrated. You're the last straw. So, hello, their hand is sticking out of the water. Give them that hand. Not like, oh God, here comes another one. I gotta get rid of them. It's like, reach out there. And if you're not communicating, it's like, can I call you? Can I do something? Go that extra little mile. It's karma. Eventually it'll come back to you. But those extra 5 minutes, I don't think any of your managers will get mad because you went that extra mile just to take care of that customer. And you build that customer for life just because you made that extra effort. It's not about how many tickets you close. It's not a meal. You're not making bread. You're taking care of another human in need.
That's a very great answer, and I think it's something that can resonate with everyone. Fernando, it was an absolute pleasure to speak to you again. Thank you for coming on, and hope to see you again in the future.
Oh, likewise, it's always a pleasure hanging out under. Hopefully,
All
we'll
right.
get to see each other in person again.
I hope so. All right. Talk to you later.
Take care of it.